Good evening, good evening, good evening, folks. I hope you had a great day, and hopefully, this show will get you guys going into your evening right now. And look, we're all going to be talking about transfers, transfers, transfers. Change is the only constant. Is how going to get his guys? Is Paul Mitchell going to get his guys? The main thing, are Newcastle United as a club going to profit from what they are both going to cook up for us in terms of player recruitment? Find out here on Toon Tactics TV.
Brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shea
All right, evening all. I've had a busy day. I'm sure you have as well. I always say it's better to be busy than not to be busy. It's better to have responsibilities than not to have responsibilities. So, as you guys know, the show, we're going to be talking about all things transfers, all things recruitment, Paul Mitchell, Eddie Howe. Obviously, we've had some news being released from various outlets, in particular our newspaper, about Eddie Howe, about Paul Mitchell, about various players. And it's led me to obviously to do today's show and talk about not only about the players, their profiles, but would they fit into the team? How would they fit into the team under this new recruitment strategy that we have? But I want to let, and I'm going to also use a really helpful post from Toon Talks as well, about the players that have been rumored to be hopefully that we're looking at scouting or possibly even joining. But first of all, I want to lay out the groundwork for this, and I'm going to lay out this groundwork through this article, two articles actually that were very quickly released one day after the other on the iNews by Mark Douglas. Now, Mark Douglas, from, if you guys will remember, let me make sure I get myself on it. Can I get there? Is this it? Now, Mark Douglas, everything changes when you're looking for this stuff. Oh, where are you? Mark Douglas, if you guys remember, is the gentleman who interviewed Paul Mitchell a couple of weeks ago in that now infamous interview where Paul Mitchell was accused of, not by Mark Douglas, but by other journalists, of saying, Eddie Howe, that Paul Mitchell said that the transfer policy, the transfer strategy was not fit for purpose. When actually what he did say was, in the context of PSR, our current transfer strategy isn't fit for purpose, which is absolutely true, and did a whole stream about that. So the same journalist with whom Paul Mitchell had an hour and a half long interview where, as Mark Douglas puts it, there was nothing that was off the table. He discussed Eddie Howe, he discussed the recruitment strategy, players, what kind of strategy he's looking to talk about as well. So, you know, this is the guy that Paul Mitchell, Newcastle's new sporting director, has chosen to, how do I say, I don't want to put it as a mouthpiece, because I think the way the way Mark Douglas writes, he's clearly given his opinion on it, and he's not necessarily being a propagandist, if that makes sense. Like, he's very balanced, and if anybody's ever read Mark Douglas's stuff, it's always, he's naturally like that. He's very balanced, and he says what he thinks without being sensationalist. Anyway, so Mark Douglas released this first article. Follow me here. First article yesterday on Newcastle target Chelsea youngster wanted by PSG and Real Madrid, and that youngster is Josh Acheampong, who obviously he's 18 years old. He plays obviously for Chelsea. His main position is right centre back, but he can also play right back. And what makes this in particularly really interesting is that in the article itself, he talks about how Acheampong is obviously he's 18 years old. He hasn't been loaned out to anybody. He's only played at Chelsea, and this is all part of Paul Mitchell's current strategy in terms of bringing in young players before they, before they really hit that ceiling type of thing, and ensuring that Newcastle begin that kind of trend of, not even trend, but what everybody else is doing in terms of bringing in young players, developing them. They have a pathway into the first team, or they get sold on or whatnot. But Josh Acheampong obviously is very, very, very talented. Now, what makes it interesting, and we're going to talk about Josh Acheampong, but as I'm kind of setting the scene here, just remember that this is what Mark Douglas is releasing, and then the question is, who gave them this information? Obviously, I personally think it's Paul Mitchell or somebody from Paul Mitchell's camp. It's obvious that obviously Mark Douglas has a direct connection to Paul Mitchell. He's had an 1.5 hour long interview with Paul Mitchell. And so that's why I've taken this particular information from Mark Douglas on the Iron newspaper about Josh Acheampong, as, and he's not saying in the article itself, oh, he's definitely coming. They did say, Chelsea are not willing to sell. And then it goes, but there is PSR. So I kind of suspect that there is some kind of maybe talks between intermediaries, and then that kind of leads me to think, then why would Paul Mitchell kind of show his hand maybe? And one of them is obviously to let us as fans know this is the strategy we're going to. Also let maybe Josh Acheampong and his agents know, hey, we're actually serious here. We are looking at you, because you can't obviously talk directly to players whilst you're in season type of thing. You could be people trying to circumvent that by talking through intermediaries. But also talking through known journalists and stuff like that. So there's that kind of incentive for Paul Mitchell to let Josh know, and his agent know, hey, I'm serious. But this next article sent the next day. Let me get this on. And all of you guys will be aware of it. Again, on the Iron newspaper, I'm not going to show all of it because it is behind the paywall. I'm going to respect that. But I'd obviously be paying the paywall myself. So, how a Mitchell hold clear the air talks over power struggle. And essentially what this says in it is that, excuse me, hey, look, we've spoken now. We've actually held talks. There is a willingness to work together and move on from a summer of frustrations, right? So I was thinking, that next press conference of Eddie Howe is going to be so funny. If they ask, hey, so Eddie, Paul says he's been talking to you, and Eddie goes, no, never been talking. Listen, I'll fall off my seat if Eddie Howe says that. But I was wondering to myself, how is it the same journalist that now Mark Douglas released the information on the clear the air talks between Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell, and 24-hour previous released the information on Joshua Acheampong? Why this kind of sudden kind of burst of information? And it made me think, and I've heard this said before in terms of Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel, and kind of why they fell out with the owners and the sporting directors. I can't remember if it was Gordon or Anthony Gordon, actually. Well, I think Anthony Gordon or someone said that, yes, Chelsea were interested in me. I knew the sporting directors wanted me, but I don't think the manager wanted me. And I think why you've got this information, and if I relate it to it now, in my thinking, in my theory is, Paul Mitchell is letting the fans know, is letting Josh Acheampong and his people know, I'm interested in you. And if you're Joshua Acheampong and you're his agent, it's great that sporting director is interested in me, but you're not talking to your manager. And if the manager doesn't, we know that the manager really likes Guehi and is maybe heading in a certain direction. How do we know my 18-year-old player is going to be able to, there's going to be a real kind of pathway into Newcastle? What if Eddie Howe doesn't like him? Hence the next article, hey guys, we've cleared the air. We're ready to move on. You know, they haven't quite said they're aligned on everything, but they said they're moving forward, they're moving on. So where there is an alignment there. That is just my theory. If I'm Joshua Acheampong's agent, I'm reading that saying, hey Josh, Paul Mitchell's interested in you. 24 hours later, not only Paul Mitchell's interested in you, but there's a good possibility that I think him and obviously Eddie Howe are getting to or around the same page. I think there's a pathway here for you. I think they're serious. So that's me kind of clearing the ground. And obviously there's more to it in terms of, like we said in the Joshua Acheampong article, where essentially I think maybe the wider picture of what Paul Mitchell is saying is this is the new direction that we are heading into. This Acheampong story, this is like Guehi before he went to Palace. You know, if we look at it on the and we'll talk about Guehi a little bit as well. Where is it? I've got transferwindow.com open here. Josh Acheampong, let me make sure I share my screen with you guys. Obviously, he's played under 18s. He's playing under 21s currently. He's valued at 300k. In the article, it says that Chelsea are looking for 21 million, which I don't think they're going to get 21 million. I think a bid of 10 million will come in, and we probably might find common ground in 15. Remember, Guehi went from Chelsea to Crystal Palace for 18 million. And I can't remember that, you know, let me actually look at the age. While we're talking about Guehi, I never spell his name correctly. I wonder if I can do it today. I always get it wrong. Can I get it right today? In front of folks. Come on. Here we go. Mark Guehi. How old were you before you went to Palace? How old were you before you went to Palace? Chelsea. So even you can see here actually, Guehi has a long loan out history. He went to Swansea. Before he actually moved to Palace eventually. Oh, he went for 23 million euros, so it works about 20 million pounds, I think. How old were you, Guehi? Let's see. He's now valued at 38 million, and that's because of his transfer. He's 21 years old, so he's 3 years older. So that's why I think, you know, I'll even put that price down to 10 million. So this is essentially Josh Acheampong is like Guehi before he went to Swansea, let alone before he went to Crystal Palace. Now, obviously, this is an announcement from Paul Mitchell that this is the direction that they are moving forward in. So obviously, those two articles, they're setting the groundwork for the direction that Paul Mitchell's going into, the type of player. Not only he's obviously named the player, but also the type of player and the profile that he's looking at. But also to kind of solidify that, to essentially, because you don't want a situation where you're saying, yes, me, Paul Mitchell, Newcastle sporting director, I'm heading into this direction. And then people have press conferences with Eddie Howe and say, by the way, what do you think of Acheampong? And Eddie Howe's like, I know it's Paul Mitchell's idea. You don't want to be hearing those kind of press conferences. So the next article then saying, hey, We've had clear the air talks. We've chosen to move on from this summer. We're moving forward together, collaboratively. So my sincere hope is that, and my theory definitely is that these guys have talked, and now these kind of stories are going out there. And I think the main purpose of them is not just to name Josh Acheampong and kind of reveal their hand, but I think is to say that they are unified. They are united. So that's the groundwork before I kind of move on and talk about other players. So what do you guys, I'm going to go into the comments, let me know what you guys think of that so far. Obviously me just kind of laying the groundwork there. Connor, hello sir. Hey mate, I'm Toon Talk. Oh right. Hey Connor, good to see you. I'm going to be using your stuff today. I hope you don't mind. Really good stuff. And guys, the amazing thing about Toon Talk's post, the post that is, he says, these are, he's got like a list of 8 names, for instance, when he'll send a post of players that Newcastle is looking at. And everyone's like, how do you know that? How do you got this information? And Toon Talk said that this is stuff that's been released, like it's in articles and various articles. And he has a great job putting all these names together, because I went individually for all these names, and there's articles upon articles upon articles upon articles on these names, stretching back months, and obviously more recently now. So Toon Talk, thank you so much for that. And obviously Connor is Toon Talk. Please like and subscribe to this insightful channel, guys. Thank you, sir. Thank you so, so much. Harpool Kelsey, we are going to spend all January chasing Guehi. I'm going to talk about him, Harpool. I really hope it's fun. If we do that, Harpool, this show has been for naught. I'll tell you that. Mark Douglas also said PIF won Europe. Eddie will be gone. That's the standard now. We can't afford to be doing anything to be doing anything less. And I think, 400 million, 2.5 years, and fair play. That money wasn't to getting us out of relegation, which he did, and also got us into the Champions League. But now we've kind of set that standard. He's had that year, obviously, of injuries and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the standard now for Newcastle United. Harpool Kelsey, we were linked with the other Georgian fella, and I'm going to mention him as well. Geordie Terriers, hello. I'm a Toon fan. Big up to you, Geordie Terriers. Big up to you, sir. Harpool Kelsey, Geordie Terriers, hello, mate. Yeah. And we've got some more there. People saying hello to each other. Big up to you guys. Big up to you all. You guys are such a warm community. Well done to you guys. All right, so that's the foundation set. Paul Mitchell, through Paul Mitchell, speaking through Mark Douglas on the iNews, is him and Howe are essentially, I'm not going to go as far as to say as, they're on the same page, they're in direct alignment, but they are talking, they are in communication, and hey, look at this player, and this is the type of player and player profile we are going to be looking at, we are going to be moving forward together. So a little bit more information on Joshua Acheampong, and I might get I want to look at his profile. This is from Chelsea themselves, and he is highly rated. This isn't kind of a hype situation. He is highly rated. They do look at him really well. 2006 date of birth, really young too. You've seen that he's played Chelsea under 18s, Chelsea under 21. Hasn't really played big. I saw in the Chelsea played Barrow yesterday, and he came on after Chelsea were like 4-5-0 up. So which some might say kind of is a sign of where he's at. But then Chelsea got like a lot of players, and I think the manager used that as a runaround for a lot of them. So I'm not going to hold that against him. Yes, he is 6 feet 1 inch tall, 1.85 meters. He is tall. When you see him in the videos, he is tall for his age. Remember, he's 18, so he hasn't stopped growing yet. He's still yet to fill out as well. So he can play as a centre back or right back. He's at the centre of England under 19 defence in their recent internationals. So yeah, obviously international player. You expect no less from Chelsea academy players. I can't remember what date this is, but they said that his transfer value is 250k. I said 10 million. Chelsea said 21. So we'll see how that particular transfer battle goes. But there has been interest from Real Madrid, PSG, and others. I'm going to have a quick look on him on the YouTube and see what you guys think. Rubbish. What they did is interesting though about Acheampong is that I don't know if from what you guys remember in my previous kind of conversation against Fulham, and that was a difficult loss. Part of the situation, part of the problem with it was that there's a big gap between our defense and our midfield. And reading obviously a lot of other articles, I think it's from another gentleman, I forget his name. It's clear that Shara and Byrne are very worried about players getting past them, running past them, and using their pace. And that's part of the reason why they keep on falling back and leaving that gap in midfield. So why am I saying this? I say that to say this. I think Guehi, and we're going to be speaking about Guehi, because I think this is the type of player, centre-back profile they're looking for. Players centre backs with pace, athleticism, and who can be very proactive in terms of almost essentially becoming like, fourth or fifth midfielders, like DMs almost, and helping to close that gap between midfield and attack and being proactive in their defending rather than reactive. And Acheampong gives me that sort of vibe. I'll play a little bit of some of his highlights. He's tall for his. Oh, let me make sure. Oh, I nearly didn't. Yeah, here we go. Let me make sure you guys can see it on my screen. Can you guys see it on my screen? Let me make sure you guys can see it on my screen. Okay, brilliant. So Joshua Acheampong, tall, athletic. You're going to see from the highlights that he is proactive. Very good ball carrier. You see him here. Am I showing my screen? Yes, I am. You see him with the ball. Right, so that's him there. Look how tall he is compared to the other players. Now remember, he's 17. Maybe somebody's going to be 17. He's 18 now. Very good ball power. Drives into the midfield. Now, I know he's playing against other 17, 16-year-olds. I'm not getting carried away from it. But this is his instinct. This is who he is. And this is who Paul Mitchell and Newcastle are looking at. Look at that. Lovely little layoff to the side. Player just got there. Don't need to see that part. So this is what we want. And this is the part that kind of like, and you see him here? You see where he's picking up the ball, guys? Just going to rewind that a little bit. Oh, that's him playing for England. Here we go. You see that? Snaps into the challenge. Very, very proactive. Look at that way he is. He's like, is he in midfield? He's like, this is how proactive, this is how far up the pitch he is. Against pacey forwards, in, bang. This is the type of player. This is what Guehi does. This is Chelsea's centre-back. This is what they do. And this is what Newcastle are essentially trying to do. This is what Paul Mitchell, like I said, I suspect didn't really go all out for Guehi. He said he made his final bid 17 days before the transfer window ended. And he's trying to get a Guehi before he becomes a Guehi, i.e., people talking about 60, 70 million. He's looking at Joshua Acheampong before he even had his first loan spell. Newcastle are trying to be that player, that first team. But let me know what you guys think of Joshua so far. Let me know what if you guys know a little bit more about him as well. Very, very interesting profile. I think this is the type of centre backs they're looking for. And before, and I'm going to go into the comments, there's another player. There's two. I don't even know if I'll get all this time, but let me read your comments. I'll look at a couple of other players that Newcastle are looking at and look at how it fits into our defense model, into our team model. Harpo Kelsey, that's why the whole summer window was so confusing. Definitely feels like something deeper going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I think they're realigning. They're realigning the transfer strategy, and I think, me personally, I think Paul Mitchell looked at it and said, "Oh, what, 60 mil for Guehi? I don't think so. 35 million plus Almiron for Anthony Elanga? I don't think so. Do you think Harpo Kelsey? Do you think we'll do big business in January? I'm not sure we will. It depends what you think about big business. I keep on saying I'm going to be talking about Guehi in a moment, actually, and see what you think of that as well. I'm going to answer that question in a moment, Harpo, but really good question. If we go back for Guehi, 30 mil tops, well, he's got 18 months left on his contract, doesn't he? I'm sold. Sign him. Connor, Guehi, rumoured to be signing a new deal at Palace with release clause. And that's the annoying thing. If he does that, it's finished in terms of Newcastle. Again, if his release clause is 40 million, which it won't be, we're not getting him. It's so foolish if he does that. I say foolish. It's his life, it's his career. Davey Eddie, yes, Philip, good point. The centre backs retreat very quickly. Like you said, they are scared of getting dribbled past, and the gaps are there to be seen between the centre backs and midfield. No pace. And I don't know if you guys saw the game between, for instance, Man City and Arsenal. I know we say Man City and Arsenal, but you guys can see this with Palace, where they got Lacroix and who's the other guy they got next to him? Lacroix. I forgot the gentleman's name. athletic, pacey centre-backs, and it helps Newcastle Palace to be up the pitch as much as possible. Thank you, David. Good to see you, by the way, sir. Harpo Kelsey, Connor, at Connor. Well, at least that would put it to bed. Really don't want another drawn-out transfer saga. Yeah. If fine, sign and with no more transfer saga. So one or two, because of time. There's another player I did want to show. Very similar profile to Acheampong in the defensive end, and his name is Mr. Samson Baidoo. Samson Baidoo. If I can get his profile up, Samuel. I've got so many things open here. Now, Samson Baidoo is 20 years old. He plays for RB Salzburg, and I mentioned that, and why I think this is another possible or likely transfer. Samson Baidoo. His name is Samson Baidoo. Is RB Salzburg are a former team that Mr. Mitchell was a sporting director at. So obviously he knows exactly how they function and what they do, and he was very successful there with obviously Ralph Ragnick as the manager. Now, Samuel is possibly, he is hot stuff in terms of the teams that are looking at him. He's already playing for the first team in the RB Salzburg. He's 20 years old. He's playing for the Austrian national team as of recent. He's currently valued at 8 million, and possibly deservedly so, from everything I've seen in the articles. He is very much a centre-back in every sense of the word. What makes him really, really good is that, where was it that I read? This is his scouting report. What did it say? So Baidoo is a blend of intelligence and composure with a good football IQ for winning duels, retrieving balls, and making plays from the back. Despite being a fullback, he has exceptional ball control when given the space and time. He is not hesitant to carry the ball forward. We need some centre-backs that do that, and tries to finish the run by making line-breaking passes. And it's actually in the same article that he was described as, like essentially becoming like a third, fourth midfielder for his side, because he's really, really good at receiving the ball in tight spaces. And I thought to myself, yeah, this makes sense. But he's 20 years old. He is 20 years old. He's obviously playing at RB Salzburg. Let me get his details up. Samson Baidoo. And obviously, Mr. Mitchell has that connection there. So it makes for very, very interesting reading. I'm also going to show a little bit of his play. Samson. I keep on getting, it's Samson Baidoo. Excuse me, guys. I went from Samuel to Samson to Samson to Samuel. It's Samson Baidoo. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. Samson Baidoo. Currently valued at 8 million, even by transfer.com, when they're very conservative in their estimates. So the fact that he's at 8 million, it shows a lot. And I think part of the reason for that is obviously he's already playing for the Austrian national team as a 20-year-old. He has been out, he's been pretty much at Salzburg most of his time. He's played for other teams whilst at Austria, but he has really, really good pedigree. I want to show a little bit of his highlights before kind of showing where he could possibly fit in for Newcastle United. I don't know if anybody else knows of Samuel. He seems to be very promising. Again, that Samson Baidoo. But obviously that obvious connection to RB Salzburg through Paul Mitchell, it makes sense. Some might say it's lazy journalism. I don't think so. It's not Paul. Paul Mitchell knows a lot of people at the end of the day. So let me make sure you guys can see that. Yes, you can see that. Samson Baidoo. Let's have a look. RB Salzburg, Austrian national team, 20 years old. Right. He's also, I think he's a little bit taller than Acheampong. He's obviously 20 years old. tall, athletic, got the, getting his headers in there. There was a part that was very interesting in terms of his actual play. I wanted to fast forward it there. And he's also very proactive. You can see how high up he is up the field. Again, I understand that he's playing in the Austrian league. It's not the Premier League. But here we go again. There's a, in terms of how he tackles, look how high up he is. Yes, look at those take-ons. Pass, go. Really, really, really good. Early pass through balls. So he's got those instincts in terms of ensuring that the play goes on. Look how high up the field he is. Look how high up the field he is when he takes that ball. And Newcastle are looking for these youngsters. So, look, we spoke about a little bit about Guehi in this. And obviously, if you can get a young player, somebody's Acheampong, for instance, I think is a little bit behind in his development compared to Mr. Baidoo. But if you can get these players in for 8, 10 million pounds, 4 million pounds, yes, there's no guarantee they'll work out. But what's the risk in terms of to Newcastle? So say for instance, Baidoo turns out to be a flop. What's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is that we would essentially loan him out, get maybe some of that money back in terms of loan fees, and then probably sell him off. Even if we sold him for half the price that we bought him for, so if say we bought him from 8 million, we would have still earned maybe earn $1 million back in fees. And what's the loss? About 3-4 million, as opposed to getting a Guehi for 70 million. And it turns out either he doesn't work out. I mean, he probably will work out, but if he's injured, he's not around or whatever, that's a lot of money. And it leaves us with a lot less to move in the market with. And I think that's what Mr. Paul Mitchell, or even at the height of it, of what you would like is, if the other side of it is, if we do buy him, and for instance we get a Guehi type defender anyway, and Baidoo's good, but he's not quite as good as Guehi, we can sell him for a profit. So that's how I think that's part of the risk. That's part of the business model that Paul Mitchell is trying to add. I'll go to the comments and guys see on the table what I've put together. I will explain a bit about this is our defense, obviously, currently, and let me know what you guys think. Davey Eddie, if Guehi signs another contract, we are out of there. And I agree 100%. 100%. Listen, I'm so curious to see what the release clause is going to be. I know it's not going to be anything. At least I remember it was 60 million, and that was fair. Let's see what it's going to be for Guehi. Harpo Kelsey, I wonder what it means for NUFC of the outcome for the City case. Well, that's going to be a whole show in itself, and I might have to do that. Very good question, Harpo. Davey Eddie, yep, surely, yep. They're looking at other targets. Yes, Davey Eddie. Interesting that Chelsea played 4-2-3-1 at the weekend and were very good. Tosin played very well. They did. It was a walk in the park for them. They literally were walking on the pitch. Harpo Kelsey, David Eddie, Chelsea would do very well with the talent. It was a matter of time. And I think Maresca, with his very decisive nature, is putting that squad together. Baidoo Club want 30-35 million. Very interesting. They might want that. Whether they'll get that is a whole different other situation. But I can see why they put that up. And let's see. It depends if the other rumors around, other clubs, big clubs looking for him, they might be able to demand that. But if it's just Newcastle and maybe a couple of our other clubs who aren't on the same caliber as Newcastle, if we say 20 million is 20 million, then they can hold on to him, but they might miss out on the money. So let's see how that pans out. But I like him. What I've seen of him, Connor, I really like. Davey Eddie, Philip, I genuinely believe Paul Mitchell will have targets in mind. He's got to. And yes, 100%. And one of them is Joshua Acheampong, for sure. So guys, this is my table. I didn't get to talk about the other guys too much because of time. But essentially what this is my way of looking at, let me get myself on that screen. Where am I? My way of looking at how it could possibly look, January and summer transfer window. So at the top is obviously our current squad. And Botman is there because it looks like he's gonna, in terms of ACL, he's gonna come back in late December, January. So I'm thinking about the January, and I am thinking of the best ideal scenario. Sun is shining, grass is green, the sky is blue. The best scenario where everybody's fit, and it's coming to January. They're looking at possible player recruitment and players to move on. What would Newcastle do? What would Paul Mitchell do? What was his thoughts are, and how would that integrate with what Eddie Howe is thinking? And ideally, you'd have, obviously, this is, I think, the first four are probably our best lineup currently, with Hall at left back, Botman at left centre back. Hopefully, he comes back as the Superman, stronger, better than ever. Shaw's right centre back, and Livramento as right back, with Trippier on the bench, Lascelles on the bench, Kelly on the bench for left centre back, but also Kelly available as left back. Now behind, obviously, the third choice players in those positions, and really kind of surplus to requirements, in my view, would be Kraft, would be Byrne, and would be Target, who we haven't seen for a very long time. So if we're thinking about players to sell, because we have to sell. Kraft, who's got 1 year left on his contract, to be very vulnerable to that. Like I said, he's third in terms of surplus to requirements. Yes, he can play right centre back as well, and that's where that's where maybe there is a bit of 50-50. I think Toon Talk Corner, you was talking about how they're considering it, and that's because he can play a right centre back and right back. And I think that's what they're considering most of all, that right centre back position, because you have Lascelles, whose contract is also running out 2025. Just like Kraft, you can't sell, and Shaw as well, actually. So all three right centre backs, all their contracts are running out. All three are either, Kraft is 30 plus, Shaw is 30 plus, Lascelles is 30 plus. So for Paul Mitchell, if he had his way, I think he wouldn't renew all of them. But there has to be a phased approach, especially if you're considering Acheampong. Acheampong is 18 years old. He's never even played for a team outside Chelsea, let alone amongst men. And so if you've got an Acheampong, the ideal scenario would be, in my view, as things currently stand, is, and this is before I knew about the whole Guehi situation, is say, for instance, we let go of Kraft in January, you'd have an Acheampong coming in instead, younger, fresher, and how you can sell it to him is, if you come in January, you got that whole 6 months before the next season to settle into a new team, a new area, a new culture, kind of way of life, incredible way of life at Newcastle. And that will give you that 6 months to settle in, plus the pre-season. Look at Livramento, look at Hall, all the former players at Chelsea that you know all about. And there's certainly a clear pathway into the right centre back position as things stand, because Shaw's on his way out, Kraft is either out or on his way out, and Lascelles definitely is on his way out. So there's a clear run out, but you can't have a right centre back position, first team centre back position, with an 18-year-old. So that's where I think they would look to Shaw in terms of possibly renewing his contract. But if Shaw, as we know, Shaw wants to be like a football director, I don't want to get into too many variables quickly, it would be difficult to renew that. And I don't think Lascelles fits the profile in terms of ball playing centre backs. He's definitely out the window. So this is where I left Guehi. Now, say, for instance, Guehi doesn't sign this contract and this release clause doesn't come up. The ideal scenario is we bring in Guehi. Say we can bring in Guehi for 35, 40 mil plus 5 mil add-ons. Remember, he's got 18 months left on his contract. Now you've got a lot better phased approach for that right centre-back position, where you can still, maybe you can keep Shaw for a year, or even if he goes, you've got an Acheampong there. You might even keep Kraft at that stage. You might keep Kraft because he's a senior player. And what would happen is you'd have Acheampong saying, there's a pathway for you. If you can't beat Kraft, then you're really not as good as we think you are, which we will do. And then obviously, then you can go up against Guehi. Now we can loan him out, earn money from the loan fees as well, if we need to blood him in as well. But he'll have that 6 months plus the pre-season to really show us who he is. What it does is essentially is what I'm saying is give Newcastle a lot of options. But regardless, and from what you guys have already seen, this right centre back position is getting desperate. Players are older, they are less quality, and their contracts are running out. So we've got to figure out what we're going to do. Regardless of what Paul Mitchell is in terms of his youth project, he's going to need to have ready-made players for that position. Baidoo's a little bit more developed in his, is a little bit further along in his development compared to Acheampong, and is obviously would be a kind of, I say ready-made replacement, but you know, he probably is Austrian national team. He's been out on loan. He's 20 years old. He's probably a lot more ready for it, but he's not a first-team player quite yet. And what Newcastle need in that right centre-back position is a first-team player, but also a youth player. So my ideal scenario would be, if I could have everything I want, with Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe could have Guehi or Guehi type player, like I said, who's ready. Shah maybe stays on for a year, and Acheampong is ready as third choice. Very similar, and I didn't get to talk about Dorgu, who's also very talented. He's a left back. And also very interestingly, Dorgu, and there's a couple of other players who are linked to kind of Scandinavian countries. So you can see that there's a kind of a theme going on there. So Dorgu, who plays at left back, do check him out, guys. Really talented player as well. And our left back position is not the greatest. Hall obviously speaks for himself. He's doing really, really well. You know, he's learning this trade. He's doing fantastically well. Now, Kelly obviously can step in, and but primarily he's a left centre back, and the left centre back position is looking a lot more. And that's why I'm afraid. I'm more worried for Burn, because he really does become. It could be a situation that he really is surplus to requirements in terms of Botman comes back. Kelly is a really good, obviously, player to not only replace, but should he not be fit, but also challenge him for that left centre back spot. So it's a really healthy competition between him and Kelly, and that's what you kind of want to replicate in your right centre back position as well. And so Burn, he's in his 30s, he's done well, he's done incredibly well. So you kind of want a situation where you want another Acheampong type of youth player in that kind of third choice position, looking to get that pathway into that first team. Can he get past Kelly? Can he get past Botman? And if they can't, that's fine. That shows that we've got a great starting left centre back as well as right centre back, and we'll continue to loan them out. Maybe sell them, profit, not profit, but whatever it is, it's not going to hurt our PSR. I think that's the ideal situation. And so Target is already third choice. He hasn't been at all playing for us for about a year plus now. I don't know what's happening with him. And quality-wise, we've gone beyond him at the moment. However, he's got 2 years on his contract, and I wonder if Paul Mitchell will be able to find him a club that is suitable for him. Regardless, you want this type of situation where you get a young talent, just like Dorgu. He's not even that much younger than Lewis Hall, but competing with Lewis Hall, competing with Kelly, and to get into that left back position. Now, I kind of, like I said, I've painted a real kind of perfect situation. The type of situation we've got at the right back situation with Livramento and Trippier, the young and the old. And I think when we're talking about January, you want that situation where you want, with obviously Acheampong can play at right back as well. So that's how you can sell it to Acheampong. We've got right back, we've got right centre back position ready for you. Trippier is probably going to go. Where are we currently? Shah's going to go. Lascelles is going to go. We're looking for a starting right back, and you probably be competing with him. You're probably about a year off in terms of really becoming a first teamer. So there's a real pathway for you, as opposed to where you were at Chelsea, where you're essentially an afterthought, even in the game against Barrow. So I think that's how we can sell it to him. So when we're talking about how we're going to have a lot of business done, I think there's definitely opportunities to do so. especially with these young players. We're looking maybe 20, 50 million, 10 million, or maybe even less than a million for some. So that's my ideal situation where you can bring an Acheampong in. If we could do that in the January, bring an Acheampong in, bring an Dorgu in if we can, if we're really good. If we can, if Lascelles goes or whatnot, can we bring a Guehi in to be our starting centre back? And all of a sudden, our starting lineup of Botman, Guehi, Livermental, Hall looks a lot healthier. Bench, Kelly, again, the wheel continues to turn, but it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Let me know what you guys think of that so far. I know I've built a really kind of ideal scenario type of situation, but I think it's interesting, and I think this is what Mr. Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe are cooking up. Connor, did you see my new post, Philip? I haven't. Let me know. Let me know what you said. Philip, catch you on the next one, mate. Good show. Thank you, Harpo. Thank you again. See you soon. Davey Eddie, Harpo, still great things coming for the Toon in the coming seasons, especially as we build the resources. And as Philip says, we can get some young gems in who will also help build up those resources. Yes, definitely. Big up to come from the Spurs Things TV show you're on. Big up to you, Josh Riggin. Fantastic show, and I'm going to be on it later on in the evening, the next 45 minutes or an hour or so. So hopefully see you there as well. Adeyeri, how you doing, sir? Been in every show so far. Really big up to you. Really appreciate you. Hi, Philip. How are you? Newcastle United employee Amanda back as our new owner of Newcastle. You've been wanting Amanda back for ages. She's not coming back. Adeyeri. I'm sorry. Connor, Hall is attacking left back and Dorgu is more defensive left back. So you can have that bit of yin and yang, isn't it? Gives you that little bit of options. I don't know much about Dorgu. I did read up a little bit on the scouting report, but he seems like a good player. Connor, welcome, Josh. Big up to you. Adeyeri, Philip, how are you? Salia signed for Newcastle. You know what? I'm going to talk about the Georgian. I think it's Tashak Salia. I'll talk about him. So that is a defense. I'm going to go into the midfield. I'm going to show the midfield part of, and the only midfielder I kind of looked at, obviously from Toon Talks, there is Mr. Kevin Zenon. Where are you, Kevin? Kevin Zenon. I did have him. Here we go. Kevin Zenon. Well, that's his thing. That's his now Kevin, who again I got this from Toon Talk, Connor. He was being talked about as, just recently from even 6 days ago, where obviously Newcastle, Tottenham are chasing him, but Newcastle have been linked with him for probably over a year, really. And funny enough, even in this article, is talking about Newcastle selling before they have to buy, which is part of our operandi. Now, Kevin Zenon can play. Let me get him up. Where are you, Kevin? Where are you? Kevin essentially plays on the left side of the pitch. He can play left midfield primarily, but can play left wing also. And he's very technical, plays for Boca Juniors. Let me get this gentleman up, Kevin. Plays for Boca Juniors. I forgot how old he is. How old are you, Kevin? Let me put this up. Boca Juniors, Kevin Zenon. He's 23 years old. And let me know what you think, guys, about this. And Connor, he's a left midfielder, primarily can play. He's currently valued at 10 million. A lot of talk around him. I suspect it's agent talk. And part of the reason I suspect it's agent talk is because he's 23. He's 22, 23. How old is he? He is 23 years old. And yes, there's all conversations about teams coming in, but why hasn't nobody put money down on the table for him at 23 years old? That's my main question. He seems to have applied his trade solely like in South America or the teams over there. He has a decent profile. Quite a technical player. They play him on the left side of that field. Let me show you a little bit about him, guys. Here's him doing a really nice assist on the left side of the midfield. Look at that, very, very nice. Ah, gosh, we got these adverts again. Stop sharing. So that's my hesitancy about Kevin. He's 23 years old, and nobody has picked him up. Nobody has really put money on the table. There's a lot of hot air around him in terms of teams being interested, but no one has really put their money down for him. So why is that? What is holding them back? And obviously, there's going to be hesitancy from Howe anyway, just because he's never played. It doesn't look like he's ever played outside of South America. Let me see. Let me get my screen up. Oh, I totally took off my screen. He hasn't played outside of South America. And then bringing him to Newcastle and then getting him to adjust seems to be a whole situation in itself. Unless you're just looking to flip him. Can you guys see this on my screen? Yes, you can. Brilliant. Let me get back on it. So yeah, again, really good. Look at that. Really good with the crosses. Plays on the left side of the midfield. Picks it up there. Good dribble. Good upper body strength. Always scanning. Always looking. Stays on that left. Nice turn there. Looks. Uses that. Good defending. Good passing. I know it's a compilation, and it's not going to show him, get nutmegged and stuff like that. Look at that, lovely ball. So good things about Kevin, but my main thing about him is why has nobody picked him up? Why has nobody picked him up? And if I look at our squad, and I'll get to our midfield in a moment, because our midfield is another talking point, to be honest. Yeah, thanks, Connor. Yeah, he is 23. Let me know what you think about him, Connor. What's the likelihood? Oh, okay, here we go. He hasn't left Zenon as he is loyal to his club and hometown. Okay, club. So now he's ready for next step in Europe. He has 20. Is that a release clause? Because then that would be interesting. If that's a release clause, that would be something that Paul Mitchell will look at. But then Tottenham, whatever the rest of the guys, why has no one kind of flipped the switch on that? Really interesting. Okay. So look, in terms of our midfield, we've seen our defense, and you've seen what I think, especially under Paul Mitchell, would be the ideal situation is. Here's our midfield. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Can you guys see this? All right, brilliant. Let me hit back on. Still learning the tech, guys. All right, so let me see this. Okay, we've zoomed in a little bit. So you guys are thinking, what's Isaac Hayden doing there? He's still on our. Oh no, you can't see that. You can't see it. What am I doing? Here we go. View on that. So Isaac Hayden is still on our payroll, guys. He's still on our payroll, and he's still got 2 years. Not even this year. It's 2026. Who gave him that contract? Actually, we know who gave him that contract. Anyway, I digress. I didn't see too many midfielders linked to us. So again, ideal situation. We're approaching January. All of our midfielders are fit and firing. What happens? What could happen in January? If you're Kevin Zenon, if you're Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe, and you're looking at the potential of a Kevin Zenon. We already have on our left side of the midfield, Joe Linton and Joe Willock. Tall, athletic, pacey, very similar to Kevin himself. He's obviously younger than both of them. Obviously, we've got Lewis Miley there for Bruno G, Longstaff there for Tonali. But Zenon, as we have seen, is very, very concentrated on that left side. I don't know enough about him to know whether he will be able to get past Willock or get past Joe Linton into that first team. It would take a little while. It's obviously him coming from South America. So what would be the purpose? Essentially, the purpose would be obviously to get, especially in January, get that 6 months to kind of integrate into Newcastle, integrate into the team, and to see where he's at. His release clause was 12 million, and thank you for Connor for sharing that. Because if he doesn't make it, he can go back on loan. We can earn some of that money back, and maybe even maybe even be able to flip him. It is a new way of thinking for Eddie Howe, because I don't think he's really had to think of PSR in that way. I don't think he likes to think of his players in that way. You know, he will see Kevin, he'd want to improve him, he'd want him to be able to challenge and to at least, you know, get into the first pick, which is what you want. But if he, you know, a year, 18 months, it doesn't work out for him, you know, it will burn Howe. It will burn Howe if he doesn't work out. I would say that left midfield. What do you guys think? Out of all of the positions, what's the strongest part of our midfield? I would say our left midfield is particularly strong with Joe Linton and Willock. And I don't even think, I think what Zenon adds actually is the technical quality, especially in the final third, especially in the final third, if I'm honest. I don't know if he's the guy though. I don't know if he's the guy. Who would be your guy, guys? Who would you guys go for? I don't know. I just don't know if Kevin is that guy. Let me know what you think. Connor, yes, release clause. Very, very interesting. He didn't want to leave last summer when numerous clubs were interested. Fair enough. And he's open to it. You were saying that he's open to it now. I can see Willock leaving us too injury prone. That, you know what, Connor, that is something that could happen. That would burn Howe. That would really burn him. And the way they're looking after Willock now, especially, if that's the case, you have Willock, you have Zenon really stepping up. That would be interesting. That left side, on the face of it, looks strong on paper, but man, I know Fulham game is one game. Willock wasn't looking the greatest at all. Let's see. I think our midfield is probably our strongest part of them. Well, we'll look at our forwards in a moment. But let me know what you guys think. And if it isn't Zenon, what other midfielder have you guys heard us being linked to? Obviously, Longstaff, a lot of things around him. He's on his final year contract as well. Are Newcastle going to renew it? And the motive to renew it seems to be, well, we don't want to miss out on the homegrown money. It's not that they see him as someone that can really challenge Tonali for that right midfield spot. Yes, he can come in, he can fill in. I rate him as a tackler and as a battler. But if Newcastle are going to grow and develop, they're going to need more than that. In fact, you probably want a Morgan Gibbs-White type of player. Obviously, Morgan Gibbs-White is now at 50 million to kind of really challenge a Tonali. That would be a battle for right midfield spot. And I know people keep on saying that he's a number 10. He's a hybrid 8 to me, 8 and 10. It's what makes him so good. He's so good on the ball. He's so good at attacking and working hard. He's very hard to pin him down. Anyway, I was going to go into Morgan Gibbs-White debate, but I think that's the type of player. Gomes. I forgot to put on Gomes. In fact, whilst we're talking, Gomes. What's his first name again that came up for us? Willock is a sellable asset. He is. What's the gentleman that played for? Is he playing for Man United? Is it Gomes? He was linked to us recently. I was meant to do a thing about him. Gomes something. What's his first name? Played for England recently. Is it Gomes? Joe Gomes. Is it Joe Gomes? Nah, not the Liverpool one. Angel Gomes. Thanks, Connor. Angel Gomes. Let me bring this up for you guys. Let me see, because I remember Angel Gomes. How did we hear about Angel Gomes? If we're talking about midfielders that can challenge Tonali, that can challenge even possibly Bruno. Did it come from Football Insider? Newcastle ready to swoop. Who wants Gomes? Angel Gomes is wanted. So Joe Gomes wanted by Villa and Newcastle. Tottenham. Angel Gomes transfer. Lille from Lille to Newcastle. It's on transfer feed. But who's the source for it? Do you know, Connor? Who's the main source for it? Is it Football Insider? Is it Football Insider? Let me share this with you guys. Because Angel Gomes, who I did see play for England, was quite impressive. He plays for Lille. He plays for Lille. Spurs are favourite for him. He will do, wow, okay. Newcastle are keen on potential suit for Angel Gomes. 24-year-old. He looked impressive. So I think an Angel Gomes, I know it's a bit different to a Morgan Gibbs-White. Morgan Gibbs-White is more attacking. But I was thinking about that. I would like an Angel Gomes type of player in our player as well. Graham Bailey reported it first. Did Graham Bailey put him us as favourites or Tottenham as favourites? Did he say Tottenham as favourites? Let me know, Connor. So that's what I'll come and look at. That Morgan Gibbs-White, Angel Gomes, before the Morgan Gibbs-White and Angel Gomes were 30, 40, 50 million. That's what I think Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe will be looking for. And if you look at our midfield currently, I know it's not perfect. There's a lot that's not perfect. We can look at the imperfections, but there's a lot of strengths there, especially on the left side. And the ideal situation between Bruno and Miley as well. I'm so excited about Miley. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty strong. Obviously, with Tonali, Bruno, and Joe Linton is good on the face of it. Longstaff is a worthy replacement and also a very, very good leader and role model, I think, for your Mileys and others. And obviously, Willock is stepping up into that situation as well. So if you're a young player, this is where the midfield. This is what I think in the midfield. If Paul Mitchell's looking at 17, 18, 19-year-olds, people of that ilk, I think that's where we don't have to focus so much on getting first teamers. We can really now have, try and sprinkle some of that youth, some of that exciting young talent across Europe is what I think. Spurs and us and Man United want him. Yeah, I'm not surprised. He is a good player. So that's the midfield, guys. That's the midfield. Obviously, Kevin Zenon. Let me know, obviously, Kevin Zenon, Angel Gomes, and others. But let's see who Newcastle pop up with. I think, as opposed to the defense, where I think there's surgery that's needed. In fact, we need first teamers, we need youth, we need everybody there. Like the midfield has got a healthy balance of youth, age, and everything else. And so, that's what makes him so attractive. Gomes contract up in the summer. That's very, 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 very interesting. Very interesting. Let's see how that race is run. All right, because I think if you're Gomes, I can't get off him now because you've got him on my mind there now. If you are Gomes, let me share again. If you are Gomes, you're 24 years old. You are 24 years old. Let me see if I can get Angel Gomes on here. I really like Gomes, what I've seen of him. I really, really like him. I haven't seen a lot of him, admittedly, but I like what I have seen. Centre of the park, right? Connor, I think he's DM style player, central midfielder. So because of his age, he fits that part between Miley and Gomes. Now, Miley can play either right midfield, I think right midfield, left midfield as well as centre. So it's not a big situation, but it's a good situation in terms of competition. And again, it's rotating with Bruno, especially who needs that rest. Gomes would be a very good addition, I think. Gomes would be a very, 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 very good addition. Let me know what you guys think. You guys can hear from my voice. I'm purring almost. If we can pull that off in the transfer window, I'll be very, very impressed. So that's the defense. That's the midfield. Let's look at the attack. A lot to say then. Let's go to your comments first before we do that. Davey Eddie. I saw Lewis Miley today in Newcastle City. Newcastle City Centre with his stunning girlfriend. He is tall. My days. He is tall. He is tall. I can't wait to see him back. And I can't wait to see how Eddie Howe now handles. And I know that we're disparate times last season, but how Eddie Howe handles him with now obviously with Mr. Bunce on board and others. Let's see how we work with him, how we kind of reintegrate him back into the squad. I'm very keen to see that. Very keen. He wants 200 a week in wages. Yeah. That's for Gomes. Yeah. He's not getting that, and he's not coming to Newcastle. That's the case. He'll probably come to Tottenham, but he's not coming to Newcastle if he wants to, if that's the case. All right. So attackers. So here's something I made earlier. Right. So let me show. Am I off? I must be off the screen. Let me put that back on. And make sure I share this. Now, we all know our front three for this. We all know our front three. Even though Gordon is a reluctant, can we say this? Would you guys say that Anthony Gordon is a reluctant right wing forward? He definitely wants to play left wing forward. I don't know if he's that keen to be a right wing forward. Let's put this on. This is where we are at in terms of our forwards. And at the bottom, I've put some of the people that have been highlighted. And some of you might be thinking, Calvert-Lewin? What on earth is Calvert-Lewin doing there? We'll talk about it. We will talk about it. So as it stands, is if everyone's behaving themselves come January, people are fit and firing and scoring and enjoying the positions they're playing in. Isak up front, Barnes on the left wing forward, and Gordon as right wing forward. Now I'll put obviously Gordon as well underneath Barnes on bench. I'm sure if Anthony Gordon's watching this, he might throw the control at the TV. We know what he did last year. We know Gordon. Barnes is doing it this year as well. So very good and very healthy competition. And that's what we're talking about, competition, and really the lack of competition for our right wing forward, for our forward. So yes, Barnes, Isak, Gordon, fantastic front three. Then after that, it's fallen. We're falling off quite dramatically. Now, yes, Gordon for Barnes, but you still want somebody there. You probably still want another youth player there, or somebody able to fill in that gap. Isak for Wilson as it stands, but Wilson is so injury prone. And I think, Connor, you can even tell me this, Fulham and Brentford are looking at Callum Wilson. And I think he's in his final year of contract as well. Or is it 2 years left? I can't remember. And I think Wilson, if we're talking about January, again, if everyone's fit, there's a chance that Callum Wilson can be sold. And that's where Mr. Calvert-Lewin fits in. I think Mr. Lewin is in the final year. This January being the final 6 months of his contract. We nearly signed him in the transfer window gone. Very nearly signed him off, but Everton started doing this whole PSR, widget and magic and stuff like that. And we were like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. So now, and I think we've tried to sign him on 2-3 other occasions. Now, if Wilson goes, which there is a big chance that he might go, Calvert-Lewin, he's even a different profile to Isak. He's a lot more, he's like a Callum Wilson, but taller, more athletic, a little bit more pace. And having him competing or playing with sometimes with Isak will be really, really interesting. In fact, sometimes when you're rotating, a Calvert-Lewin with a Gordon and Barnes situation is also very appealing. Calvert-Lewin and an Isak in terms of if we're playing a 4-4-2, also very appealing. It all changes up, doesn't it? I think Calvert-Lewin, in my opinion, would be a very good buy if we can get him in the January transfer window. And of course, it'll be a very low cut price, which is right up our street currently, especially on PSR. And again, you've got another smooth transition for Osola. So he is 22, 23, but he's some way off in his development. And now he's got something to aim for in terms of, can I get past Calvert-Lewin? Can I then challenge Isak for that front spot? And obviously, we know that Mr. Osola can also play on the right. He can play on the right as well, or down the channel. So there's some options for him there. So I think Calvert-Lewin will be a good buy. You might be thinking, who are these other guys? Almiron has to be sold, by the way. We need to sell Almiron. I don't know what's happening with Almiron, guys. If anybody knows what are the chances of him going in January, you got to let me know. Dave Eddie, if Gomes came on a free at the end of the season, he would be on huge wages. How much, I don't know. Yeah, absolutely. Connor, last year for Wilson. We're definitely not renewing his contract, but he'd be a very good player for someone. Dave Eddie, Gordon needs to give someone a shake. Or needs to give himself a shake. He's loved at the Toon, but he's got a face like a smack back. You have to remember, he's still what, 23, 22, 23? Connor, Almiron refuses to leave. I don't know why. I can't remember. How long is Almiron's contract, by the way? Is he on the final year as well? That would be interesting to know. So that whole, again, like after that whole front three, Gordon, Isak, and Barnes, not only is it a fall off in terms of quality and availability, but also and age, Almiron, Wilson, 30 plus, isn't he? Osola's very raw talent. I'm not going to include him in that. It's an absolute fall off. Murphy's the only one I love, and but he's not exactly Mohamed Salah, is he? He did well against Fulham, obviously, but he should be third choice. He's second choice, and he's first choice. He's playing most of the time at right wing, and that shouldn't be the case for him. So we have a surgery going on now. We've mentioned Tyler Diblin. He's a young hot prospect. He's gonna tear it up. He plays at the right wing, by the way. Anyone who saw the game between Southampton and Man United, he was fantastic, and he scored, didn't he? He scored against Ipswich. Done very well. Now, Tyler Diblin on that right side. Can you guys imagine that? Challenging Barnes and Gordon. That would be something interesting to see. And he's already made. Only thing is, everybody sees Diblin. I think the top 6 clubs also see Diblin. And it's going to be very hard to get him. So the others, obviously, Jeremy Pina. Now, there's a little bit less known about him. But the one I want to... he's got a release clause of 60 plus million. We're not paying 60 plus million. The one I do want to show you. So yeah, Jeremy Pina. Let me. You might be thinking, who's Jeremy Pina? Let me. I said his name wrong. I bet I said his name wrong. Scout report. Jeremy Pino, excuse me, forgive me, Jeremy Pino. So he does play. There's a little scout report on here, play analysis. He's actually from the Canaries, from the Canary Island, plies his trade in Valencia. Dribbling is a big part of his game. He's quite small, quite slight, but he's got really good feet. Works very, very hard. Where is he? There was something they had on him that was interesting. Let's show this. I bet are you gonna give me? Here we go. So there's a little bit of him playing for Villarreal. And Atletico
Madrid nil. Madrid are finding those kind of positions very easy. Pino back on the attack for Villarreal.
Him on the left side, coming in there, really good assists. I don't know if anybody knows anything more about him, but he's got really, really good feet, really technical. Good first touch, as you expect for someone from Madrid, and loves to defend. I know I didn't give too much on him, but we're definitely not paying a 60 million release clause for him. No way are we paying 60 million for him. But obviously, it's come up in terms of scouting report, in terms of the news. The one I wanted to share with you guys before I finish on this is who I liked, and I think is right up Paul Mitchell Street, for instance. And obviously, Toon Talk directed me to this through his post, is Mr. Sindawale Igali. I think he's Norwegian. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, you can. So Sindawale, which is Norwegian, they're already obviously comparing him to Haaland, because if you're from Scandinavia and you're tall and you can run, you're Haaland. He's 18 years old. His place of birth is Larvik, Norway. And they've got him down as a right winger, but I think he can play in the centre as well. He's 1.82 meters. It's, pretty tall. They've got him, transferwindow.com got him valued at 250k. He's playing first tier Norwegian football at 18, which is pretty impressive. And again, as I mentioned earlier, a good few of these players that have been highlighted with Newcastle are from Scandinavian countries. Transferwindow.com got him playing as right wing and left wing, but he's mainly right wing. Let me see some of his numbers in 23, 24. Obviously, 24, 25 have just started, so I'm not going to be disingenuous. So he would have been 17 years old then. And he played 12 games. He played 12 games for the under-19, scored 14 goals with 1 assist. I think he's going to have a really good goal-scoring record. And I think it's meant to be so good that it's beaten Haaland in some aspect. But he scored, out of 12 matches, he scored 14 goals for the under-19s boys. And I think that's what got him his first team place now. So that's pretty impressive within itself. What's he done this season so far? And again, I know that it's only this season and he's 17 years old, but he's notching up some decent numbers. 18 years old, Sindawale Igali, right winger, Norway, 9 games, 4 goals, and 1 assist. He only got himself a yellow card. And anybody watching know how I feel about yellow cards. Or obviously he's playing for Norway already. He's doing pretty well. There's a lot about him to like. And if you look, again, we've looked at the history of Paul Mitchell signings. There's a lot about his profile that I think makes a potential move from Newcastle very, very interesting. So what's happened? He's actually come up on the BBC News for Newcastle, but also Sports View. I look at Sports View. Here we go. What have they said? This is from Ben Moore. Newcastle United tracking adverts. I can't pronounce the names. Norwegian. Nor's Jalen striker Sindawale Igali, and would love to sign him, according to the Daily Mail. Oh, this is from Craig Hope. Sorry, I didn't realize this. My apologies to Mr. Hope. So this is the Daily Mail. Interesting. This is 6 days ago. Thank you for this, Connor. Appreciate that. All these adverts. Goodness me. How many adverts are on there? Are we allowed to watch it? Let me go. I can't even go on the thing now because the adverts have taken over everything. I have to go back. How many adverts have they got? So I was meant to share this with you, and then it's just got adverts everywhere. I have to go back. Where is it? So this is back to Sports View. This is Ben Moore, but it came via Craig Hope. So apparently they would love to sign Mr. Igali. Igali was an unusually prolific striker at youth level, reserve level, with 19 goals and 13 appearances in the 4th division at Norway there. So that's pretty impressive. This is where they keep on going about Erling Haaland. The 18-year-old has been widely dubbed the next Erling Haaland back at home due to a similar style of play to his compatriot. Manchester City hitman. The Magpies target already has debuted for the senior Norway national team, bagging 32 goals across their age grade levels. Yeah, he's done well. Newcastle preparing life for that Callum Wilson. Okay, interesting. And has the potential for going forward. Sweden international Alex suffered a toe injury. Yeah. Newcastle need depth striking. Both, okay, Paul Mitchell. Okay, both Howe and new director Paul Mitchell will have to agree that the teenager, they really agree, it's perfect for the Toon. Interesting, they do a clash during the summer. Oh, okay, yeah. Clash this, clash that. Okay, fine. Very, very interesting. I didn't know that it's Mr. Hope that talked about that. So let's have a look at Mr. Guehi, and I'll read your comments, guys. So this is Guehi. I said that I feel like he's not just a right winger in my opinion, because just watching him play a little bit, he is a right winger. Obviously, he plays right wing. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Can you guys see that? All right, brilliant. You can see that. So let me go back if I can find it again. Goodness. YouTube. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm running out of time. I wanted to show the Georgian striker, who looks a handful. The 17-year-old looks really good. Where are you? I had it on. Josh Koleosho. There was also Koleosho from Burnley. He looked good. He looked interesting. Jeremy Mina, Richard Kidd, Calvert, Vactor, Samson Baidoo. Let me just find Guehi. Have we got Guehi? So every Norwegian striker, from now on, get ready for it. It's like when they kept on comparing how to Mark Hughes, because both took over. So it gives me Mark Hughes vibe. The people keep on saying when he became manager at Newcastle United, and I said the only reason people are comparing the two is because they both got blonde hair and blue eyes. They're totally different managers, and playing careers. Hence why they're different managers altogether. But yeah, so this is Guehi. Let's have a look. Here we go there. So this is him. This looks like the left side to me. So I know you can play both. Have we got commercials? Okay. Nice ball there. So he's left-footed. Looks like he's left-footed there. Somebody should have been in for that. Again, there on the left side. I think there was a better one. There was a better highlight I wanted to show. Let me show you this one instead. Let me see. Let me make sure you guys can see that before I go off. Yes, you can see that. Brilliant. All right, Mr. Guehi. Sindar Guehi. 18 years old. 18 years old. It looks like in this game he's playing on the left side. Oh, they're showing the same game. Let me see here. Good dribbling, takes on his man, looks up. Good stuff there. Again, looks up. Oh, got a bit of trickery there. Is he going to pass it early? Lovely. Not afraid to do that. Here we go. Really interesting. So what do you guys think of him? I know that, I read a little bit of his profile, looked a little bit at his stuff there. Where would he fit? He would fit here in our squads. And it's interesting that it was mentioned. I don't know if Craig Hope said it himself. Obviously, Ben Moore said that with Wilson going, it would be likely that Wiley would be stepping in. But Wiley's a right wing player who can probably play through the centre. But this is what I'm talking about, youth. And if you put him up against together with Usola, Wale, that would be really interesting. And if Calvert-Lewin continues to refuse to sign his contract, January could be very, very interesting for Newcastle. Very interesting for Newcastle. I didn't get to show you the Georgian 17-year-old who everybody's comparing to Kvaratskhelia, because everybody's going to be coming that can dribble, and it's from Georgia is going to be compared to Kvaratskhelia, but that'll be interesting. Osolo, Wallerberg, it'll be great to get those type of youth in there. He can play on the left side, he can play on the right side, and again, the part that it could be sold to him. Look, we're bringing a whole load of youngsters in. We've got a whole load of oldsters about to leave, and you have a chance to challenge. And again, if he doesn't work out, he's 18 years old, it's 250K. So in terms of his valuation from transfer.com, it's low risk the other way. Howe looks at low risk from a situation of, so-and-so player plays in the Premier League already, and so they can integrate into the squad really easily. So that's good, but they're expensive. Paul Mitchell looks at it as they're young, and if they don't work out, we can loan them out and sell them, and we don't lose so much money that way. So it'll be interesting how we kind of merge the two in terms of that. So I'm really, really interested. I'm really excited. I don't know what you guys thought that so far. There's a good amount of players to go through, isn't there? What it's taught me, though, I don't know what you guys think in concluding that. Looking at our defense, there's a lot to do in the defense. I don't think you can do that all in January. And like I said, the ideal is that we get to, and it'll be difficult. Say Kieran Trippier wants to go, as we know, there's an element that he does want to go. Would Howe want that experience to go? So who would be the surplus? It will be on Matt Targets and Kraft, but is it that easy to move them on? What would happen there? So there's a lot of surgery, especially that right centre back position with Shaw, Jamal Lascelles, Kraft. Like we need a starting right centre back, as well as youth and everybody else. So what's going to happen? So there's a lot of surgery. Midfield's a little bit stronger. I think we're ready for a lot of youth in that side of the department, and the forward line outside of our front three is almost a fall off. But we do have a Jacob Murphy and others who are good professionals. But I think there's, we've got Wilson, Almiron, and others who we need to let go of, and there's an opportunity there. So in terms of business in January, someone asked earlier, there's an opportunity to do a lot of business, especially with youth, with the youth side of things. And in terms of, there might be a few higher profile ones in terms of Calvert-Lewin. I know there's people who don't like Calvert-Lewin, but I think at this stage in his career, in his health, he's 27 years old, taller, more athletic, more stronger than Callum Wilson, more pace on him. I think he adds something, and obviously the experience that he has, especially for planning and the price that's low risk. Like he'll be 6 months in his contract. There's a lot of potential there. I think we can earn from him and have other young, your Igelis, your other young strikers coming in. It'll be great to have him. So there's a lot, as you guys can see, there's a lot of work to do on our squad. A lot. And we need Howe and Paul Mitchell to be sitting down and thinking this through. But let me read through your comments. We'll wrap this up and let me know what you guys think. 2 years left, Connor. Is that for? Oh, yeah, for Almiron. Yeah, Philip, meaning Gordon looks miserable. As he does look miserable. When he's not doing well, he needs to mask it a little bit better. Connor, Almiron won't get wages he's on with us anywhere else except Saudi, but he won't go there. That's the problem. And so we're having to deal with some of the sins of the past. And this is Ashley past, stroke now, and everything else. I feel like we should have just sold him to Charlotte FC. I know they didn't give us the greatest of feed, but we should have just got rid of him. Pino was out last season with ACL. Was he? Philip, 2 questions. 1, how did you become a Toon supporter? And 2, what podcast are you on after your show? So the latter question, I'm on Spurs Kings in the next 5 minutes. Spurs Kings, that's their rival show, representing Newcastle, giving it to all the elitist top 6 clubs. But in terms of supporting Newcastle, if you go on my YouTube page, literally my I don't know what you call it, your welcome video, it explains it as well. But essentially, I wasn't born in the UK. When I came to the UK, I literally I flicked on the TV, and they're the first team I saw play. I had no concept of this is London or this is new. I didn't have it. I saw them play, and then I think it was in the Champions League. Our first game, not first game, but my first game was watching them play Monaco in the Champions League. Thierry Henry was still playing for Monaco in those days. And I think we lost that game. We did lose that game. And I cried. And I said to myself, mate, you can't be crying over a football team and then going to support somebody else. So, and I've cried ever since. That's the story in a nutshell. But there is a little clip on about it. Do have a look at it. Let me know. Let me know what you think. But fantastic questions, David. Come and join us on Spurs Kings. Connor, Spanish international. Is that Pino? Yeah. Okay. He has played as a winger mostly. Okay. Thank you for that. I think the Norwegian lad is 6'1". He's not a monster like Haaland. He's not. He's 18 though. He's got a couple. He might have a couple of years to grow. Pivas has just got his work permit and will start training in 2 weeks. I thought he'd already started as well because I thought there was an article on that. I'm going to be following him on William too. See how he does, guys. Big thank you for all those that came on, that joined me. We looked up, at least most of the players that have come on in terms of rumours and everything else. Big thank you to Connor. Big thank you to Toon Talk for bringing all these articles together. And literally, I read off the paper, looked at them, looked at their profile, looked at their videos. Thank you, Connor. Thank you for Toon Talk for putting that together. We set the foundation of where we're looking at, which is number one. That is Joshua Acheampong being announced through Mark Douglas on the Iron newspaper, the same newspaper that interviewed Paul Mitchell, and 24 hours announced that Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe are talking, and then looking to bury the previous transfer window to get before and move on with a new one. So that's the foundation. And obviously Acheampong as a player profile, and we moved on with that. We looked at the team, we looked at our team and said to ourselves, with all these other players, who would fit into our team currently? What needs to change? How's it going to work out? Still a lot of work to do in terms of our player recruitment, especially in our centre-back area and others. But we're on our way. I think we're pointing in that direction. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. It's been fantastic with you. As always, let me know what players you think we should be looking at, and what rumours have you heard. I'll be really keen to look at the scouting reports, and let me know. Let me know what you think in terms of Howe and Mitchell. How's it all going to work out? What business do you think we're going to be doing in January? I hope you have a great evening, guys. Until next time, take care. God bless. Look after yourselves. Take care, guys.
Brilliant from Shea. And now Murphy could take on the shot. Fabian Shea with